Greetings and salutations. See the Jeep's back in the garage here. And if you haven't been keeping up the speed or you're new, this is my 1993 Jeep XJ Cherokee. And I bought this back in June as a parts vehicle because it was missing the entire front clip, and the front passenger side frame horn was bent from a rear end collision. And I managed to straighten it out. If you're interested in watching that video, you can watch it up here. I think it's up here. Anyway, last week I sprayed custom coat bed liner, tintable kit. Actually, I bought 2 kits, and I got done spraying and I realized I didn't have enough material on this vehicle, and there's some spots where you can see through it. And I used the gun that came with the kit. This is often referred to as a Shutz Gun. And this one's not a very bad example, but it sprays a lot of material really quick. And I blew through that 1.75 gallon kit like it was nobody's business, and I barely got a coat on. Well, I decided that I was going to go ahead and buy another kit and use a different spray technique. So I went online, back to Amazon, about the same place where I got the other kit, and one of the reasons why I went with custom coat is because according to the instructions that I read, you can spray another coat on it and not have to do any prep. So I went online and I ordered another kit, and I've been sitting here with bated breath, waiting patiently for that kit to show up. Look at that, just pop in the sun. I mean, this is not even doing it justice. Blue isn't my favorite color. It's my wife's favorite color, and I really like that color. So I just got a shipment today. I just got the box today. I've been waiting for it. I got notified this morning that it was coming and it's going to be here today, and UPS just dropped it off, and look what showed up. The right color showed up. This is Raptor. In all fairness, this is a 1 gallon kit, 24 fluid ounces. What are the other ones? So, both of those liner kits are sold through TCP Global, where I got mine. So I went online and I asked them if the 2 products were compatible, and I was instructed that as long as I prep and clean the surface, it should be fine. Now, remember what I said, the only reason I went with custom coat is because if I needed more, or if I wanted to put like black down at the bottom or something, all I would have to do is mask it off, clean it, wax and grease remover, whatnot, and spray it. Oh, 18 fluid ounces. So I actually got more material, like 6 ounces per thing, 6 times 4, 24. It's like getting a whole nother can of material. So at this point, if you're thinking of doing a liner, you're going to do a liner paint job, go with the Raptor. Pay the extra money and get the Raptor, because you're actually getting more material. But then what the hell do I know? This is a stupid carpenter. I need to scuff this with a red Scotch-Brite pad, wipe it down with the wax and grease remover, remask the whole damn thing, and then I'm going to show you, I'm going to modify one of my Harbor Freight HVLP guns to spray this out of an HVLP gun. So hang tight. Just got back from AutoZone. Went to O'Reilly's first, and they were so busy I wasn't gonna stand there and lie and wait. But let me show you what $25 buys you. That's what 25 bucks buys you. 3 rolls of masking tape and 1 sheet of, it's not even a sheet, it's a half a sheet. A half a sheet of a scuffing pad, 4 by 11. $5 for that. AutoZone ought to be ashamed of themselves, man. last piece of masking to put on right now. Need to go pick up my daughter from school. And when I come back, then I'll finish that up, but by then it'll be too dark to really film. So we'll pick this back up tomorrow when I start prepping this thing for the coating.
The next morning.
This side of the hood has got like a semi-gloss sheen. And apparently the next layer of liner, because this is cured, won't stick to it. So you need to provide a little mechanical tooth for that that product to stick to. This side of the hood was scuffed with this Scotch-Brite pad. This is the equivalent of 360 grit. Because if you were to use a sanding pad, you would just knock off the high spots. This gets down in all the nooks and crannies and allows the entire surface to get abraded. Yeah. And now I got to do this to the entire Jeep. But back to my most favorite thing in the world to do. Sanding. I had enough of the Scotch-Brite pads, but that's what they look like after I'm done with them. So that's ready. That's ready. This is all ready. That's ready. Oh, that's ready. That's ready. And that's been ready. Check the forecast. If it's going to rain tomorrow, then I'm not going to do anything in there. I'm not going to do anything with that. So let's play it by ear. See you tomorrow.
Day 3.
I had a question about the color and the texture. And you can see the metallic that's in the color. I'm trying to keep my shadow out of it. But the texture is very, I don't want to say it's rough, it's textured. I mean, the Shutz Gun lays it down pretty good. But it does hold a lot of dirt. So just, you know, just laying my jacket up against the surface transfers the dust to the surface, and which isn't a bad thing. I mean, if you're doing a bed liner coating on a truck, you're probably doing it because because your truck probably looks like this, you know, and you're gonna have those cowboy pinstripes. You don't want to stick a bunch of money in paint. I mean, paint can cost, you know, even cheap paint. You know, the paint that I painted the dually with, I constitute that as cheap paint. You know, that was $100 a gallon for color and the reducer as a kit. It was $100 a gallon, single stage, and they had another $100 a gallon for clear coat. So, and you know, if you breathe on it, you're going to scratch it. So that's why I wanted to do a bed liner coating. When I recoat this, I'm going to use my HVLP gun, one of them. I think when I did inventory last time, I think I had 3 of them. I might as well use this one. This is dirtiest. But before I can use this, I need to make a modification. Shooting it out of a spray gun is going to lay it down flat. So this texture is still going to be there. It's just not going to be as pronounced. Does that make sense? Because this texture is going to telescope through the next coat, but the next coat is going to go on flat. So it's going to kind of soften some of these edges and make it easier to clean. I hope. I need to start sanding on the other side. You don't need to see that. It's just the same as this side, only on that side. So we'll come back tomorrow when something else is happening. If for you, it'll be just a second. For me, it'll be like 12 hours. Okay. Bye. All right, in order to understand the modification I'm about to make on this Harbor Freight HVLP gun, maybe a refresher course of how a spray gun works. So let's recap, shall we? This is an HVLP gun, also known as a gravity feed gun. This is not an HVLP gun. This is the kind of guns that the body shop used when I was 14 working in a body shop. These were kind of new technology and hadn't gone mainstream yet. Now everybody uses these. But they both operate under the same principle. The differences are significant, but the principles of operation are the same. So let's first look at how this gun works. You see the cup is underneath the gun, not above the gun. And it has a tube that goes down to the bottom of the cup, and it's slanted so that when you're spraying, it's always picking paint up from the very bottom of the cup. This is the air cup. And air is pushed through, it's not going to show up on the camera, but there's two little holes on either side of that central hole. And then there's a hole on either side here, and air is forced through there and is also forced around the tip and through a very small gap between the fluid tip and the air cap. As the air is forced through around this tip, it goes around this, and between the hole and this tip, it creates a Venturi effect. What that does is creates a vacuum in here, and that's what brings the paint up from the cup and feeds it into the airstream. The other holes in the tip create the fan, so it redirects the air, because if those holes weren't there in that tip, it would just come out in a big round pattern, right? But because it has those holes that are directed towards each other, it creates a vertical fan. When the paint comes out of the gun, it's shooting out at about a 2.5, 3 inch wide by 12 inch tall pattern, so that you can overlap, you know. You get the general idea. What it's doing is it's taking a conical shaped fan, which would otherwise be if those holes weren't in the tip, and it's redirecting that and creating a kind of a rectangular fan, so the paint goes on uniformly. The same principle applies to here. The difference being is that the paint is now above the gun. So rather than relying on air pressure to create the Venturi effect, the Venturi effect is still created here. You're still creating a vacuum inside the chamber here where the paint comes in and gets pushed into the airstream. The difference is you don't need the high pressure to create suction in a tube to draw the paint vertically 8 inches into the airstream, because you got gravity doing it, because the paint's above the chamber. Does that make sense? I hope it does. The painting elite poo-poo these guns because they're only $10. I'll refer you to this video up here on what to look for, because Harbor Freight offers 3 different part numbers for this, and you want to get the one. I think there's 2 part numbers that share commonality, and there's one that's kind of a bastard child. But you want to make sure you get one that has the brass piece here and not the single metal piece. And these 2 pieces are supposed to come apart. But here's the cup, here's the fluid tip, and this is what we need to modify. We need to modify the fluid tip. And the Devil Biss gun, this is a fluid tip out of a Devil Biss paint gun. That's not the same. It's not the one for this one. It's the one for the Millennium series that I used to have that some crackhead stole over a decade ago out of my garage. But I digress. I'm not even bitter. But this is a 1.4 millimeter fluid tip, and that's really the determining factor of how much product is going to be able to come out of that little hole, because that little hole is where the paint's going to come out. That's what's going to create the fan. Now, paint is automotive paint, when it's properly mixed, should have the consistency of like whole milk, and that sprays out of a 1.4 fluid tip and clears as well. But when you get into primers, primers are more for build. They're a little more viscous, and especially high build 2K primers, which amounts to sprayable Bondo. You need a bigger fluid tip, otherwise it's going to look like that, and which translates into more sanding, which I abhor. So with With products like the Devil Bits guns, you can buy different fluid tips. I have a 1.8 around here someplace. I bought it special just for this gun to spray high build primers. Be damned if I could find it. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these HVLP guns, remove the fluid tip, take this little gasket off so I don't wreck it, and then I'm going to get a drill bit and open this hole. So I have two drill bits here. I got a 1/16, and this hole is smaller than a 1/16, and I have a 5/32. Let's get some calipers out and see what the size of those are. A 1/16 is about 1.5 millimeters. A 5/32 is 1.87. Now, this liner material is much more viscous than even the thickest of high build primers. So I'm going to run this with the 5/32 drill bit, and I'm just going to run it with my hand drill through this, open this hole up. There we go. Notice that's probably going to create a little bit of a burr, so if you have one, get a countersink, clean that burr off. Now this should be ready for some bed liner material. So let me get switched into a different jacket and get this ready to go. I got to go get go get the material and get it out here, clean a spot off my bench so I can work, and we'll get spraying.
Look at the viscosity of it. It's like motor oil. And that's why you need to open up that orifice.
Didn't soften it too much. It's still pretty textured. I got one good heavy coat on this thing, so there's a little bit left in that, not much. But I've got an entire 24-ounce bottle of Raptor to use when I get fender flares for the front, maybe. I got the rear fender flares done. I don't know how much of this you caught. Probably none, because you're on the other, you're over there perched on top of the toolbox. And I think I ran out of memory. Either the card filled up or the battery went dead. Either way, but the GoPro is not working right now. So I'm going to clean up the guns so this liner doesn't wreck them, and then I'm going to come back and in a couple of minutes, it'll just be a second for you. I'll come back and I'll give you my final thoughts between the Raptor liner and the custom coat liner, and also my thoughts on the difference between spraying with the Shutz Gun and HVLP gun. Which product do I think is superior? Well, hands down, the Raptor's a better product. It costs a little bit more, but what you get per kit, you get a 2-gallon kit with the Raptor, and with the the custom coat, you get a quart less. So in 2 kits, that translates into a half a gallon of extra material for about, what, 50 bucks? You know, the dry time is about the same. When I put this, I'll reveal the truck when I put it all back together, and I'll show you all the details and whatnot. But as far as the liners go, if you're going to do an entire vehicle, you'd be better off just spending the extra 50 bucks and getting a Raptor liner, because I really think that 2 of those kits would have done this truck. And you know, that's what I'm understanding in most of the forums and a lot of the videos that I've seen of people doing this. On a typical mid-size truck, 2 kits or 2 gallons of Raptor liners enough to do 2 coats for a typical vehicle. Your results may vary depending on the Shutz gun that you use. I don't have much experience with Shutz guns. I haven't sprayed all that much Shutz, but there's my other one, and I didn't even try to do it with this one. In terms of application, which do I prefer? Neither. I don't specifically prefer one or over the other, but obviously using a Shutz gun is going to garner you different results than if you were just to use a spray gun. So I don't know how well that's coming through in the camera, but this was my test piece when I was adjusting the pattern, and with the Shutz gun that comes with the custom coat color and with some of the Raptor colors if you get it from TCP Global, it's going to give you this kind of a splatter effect. You can vary the texture depending on the distance that you spray from the surface. Air pressure is going to make a difference. The viscosity is going to make a difference. And if your gun has an adjustable tip like this will change the spray pattern as well. Although you'll probably blow through half a can of the custom coat trying to dial in your spray pattern, so take that into consideration. If you spray it with your HVLP gun, you're going to be left with a smooth finish, much like paint. It's going to be a satin finish. It's not going to be high gloss, but you'll have a durable painted surface that typically is dry to the touch in about an hour. A lot of people that are doing restoration work are using tintable bed liners for things like floor pans and trunks, places that see a lot of moisture and wear. I will say, if I had time to experiment, I would probably open that tip up even a little bit more, probably going as high as 2 millimeters. 1.8. I mean, there was good flow, but the spray pattern wasn't very consistent, and I don't know if you can see it in the reflection from the open door over there. You can see some tiger striping, and I'm hoping that will go away as the liner cures. It may not, but that's okay. It's done. I've got good coverage all the way around, and I'm happy with the results. I still have a textured finish, but it's a little softer now. It's not like sandpaper. I don't have anything bad to say about the custom coat liner, other than they just don't provide enough material. So everything's demasked and tucked back away in the garage. And man, I tell you what, that sun goes down and it gets cold, brr. So if you like the idea of spraying a bed liner material on the freaking outside of your car in lieu of paint, smash that like button and then share this video with your vast social media network. That helps a lot. That tells YouTube that I'm not such a bad guy after all, and it pushes me to more potential viewers. So go ahead and smash that like button. Help a brother out. If you haven't done so yet, under this window is a button that says subscribe. Click that if you don't mind, and the little bell icon there is right next to it, so you can be notified next time I upload a video. It's as simple as that. And it's free. My favorite price. Also, don't forget to check the links in the description for Amazon links to some of the products that I use in these builds, along with some of the stuff that I use to make these videos. If you're going to shop on Amazon anyway, I'd appreciate it if you went through one of those links to buy either the products directly or use those links as a gateway to get whatever it is that you do want. That way the channel can earn a little bit of a commission, and I can offset some of the costs of these projects. Thank you in advance if you can afford to do that. If you can't, if you're just too poor to do that, then that's okay. We're probably related. So until next time, you have fun, stay safe, shoot straight, keep your powder dry, and have a splendid day. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.